for this customer, and this is the PIN number at the gate that they'll be using on the PIN pad. If you give out swipe cards or proxy cards instead, you would then put the proxy card's special code or number into here instead, and as soon as you click OK, Storman would verify that against the customer, and that swipe card will then start working as soon as the customer is ready to move in. Time zone, that section here merely lets you set a time zone for the customer. For example, if they are 24 hours or business hours only, weekends only, whatever, you then put the time zone number in here, and that just corresponds to the time zone in your gate system, just comes across. The status allows you to select whether the customer has been allowed access or suspended, and Storman will automatically change the status for you if you want it to. So for example, when the customer is 3 or 5 days late and you want to lock them out, you just set it up in the system to do so, and Storman will automatically set this customer to suspend if they get that late. So you can set up certain trigger points if you want to. If this is a friend of the manager's and you always want to allow them access regardless of how their bill is looking, no problems, you can click Always Allow Entry, and no matter how late they are or what the system's set to, it'll always allow them entry at the gate, so you've got that option as well. Additional users might be for larger companies. If you've got, for example, 5-day staff or reps that go around and need access to the unit, you can give each one their own PIN number or swipe card, and you can use the plus button to add additional users down here, and that allows the company to sort of see who's coming in at what time and that sort of thing. So you've got a sort of a detailed log, 5 PIN numbers for each company as opposed to one that all the people would use. You've got that in here. You can also charge for this service. You can have a deposit amount. For example, you might charge $20 for each additional PIN number. No problems. We give you that option to charge for these value adds if you want to. Over on the right hand side, gate access history. You might remember earlier I mentioned that if you have a gate system in Storman, the main window, as we see here in the background, would adjust so that the bottom half, about underneath that line there, would be a gate system, a log of who's coming in and out. That shows the gate log for everyone in your facility, whereas the gate screen over here on the customer window shows the access history for that customer only. So you can sort of drill down a bit and use that section there. In the bottom right, insurance info, this allows you to set a policy number, a start and an end date for the insurance policy, and the value. Now this value is actually coming from the front tab. If I just click over here back onto the front tab, you'll see that the value here, $25,000, that's it's just basically summing that up and putting it on the insurance page. So if I've got 5 units for 10 grand each, it's obviously going to show 50 grand down here in the insurance value section. So it gives you a bit of a total. Now with this expiry date here, if you do put a date in there, Storman can automatically trigger a letter to be sent a few weeks before that date. There's a lot of these date fields in Storman that you can actually trigger things off. For example, credit card expiry date. If their card's about to expire a month or a couple of weeks before, you can send a letter to that customer automatically saying your card's about to expire. Please give us a call and give us your new card number or your new expiry date so we can continue to debit your account and so on. So all these little date fields in Storman are great for triggering little letters off if you need to. Now the Transactions tab, this is the one you'd probably use the most when you use Storman. It's the most popular tab because it has to deal with money, but also because it's something you'd go to very frequently to accept payments, to add charges and that sort of thing. At the moment it's not showing very much because we haven't actually done anything. We haven't billed the first lot of charges for this customer. So what I'm going to do now is click this button here, Bill Next Charges, just sort of towards the bottom left there. And as soon as I click that, it will say, well, okay, you want to bill the first lot of rent from the 20th of November to the 20th of December for $150, and it's also going to bill any deposit and move-in charges that I might have set in the system. Now you might be asking, what's a move-in charge? Well, essentially, if you have an account opening fee of $2 for whatever reason, I mean you probably wouldn't, but you could charge that. If you have a proxy card rental fee or maybe a deposit on your proxy cards so that don't get lost, you might have a $25 deposit, you can set that up as a move-in charge. So anytime someone moves in, these charges are going to be billed alongside the move-in. I'll just click OK, and you can see there what Storman's done is it's put in our rental fee of $150. Now you might remember this unit was actually $135, but we're billing it out to this guy only for $150, and there's no record on here anywhere of it showing that it is actually $135, and that we're sort of, I guess, charging a bit more because it's in demand. So that, as I said before, the customer doesn't see that you're, I guess, charging them a bit more than normal. Underneath that we have a deposit for the unit and a deposit for the agreement of $50 each. therefore it's coming up as $100. Now you can change that. If you only have a deposit for your units or only have a deposit for your agreement, no problems, you can charge one or the other, but we've just on the demo here enabled a deposit charge for both, so you can see that you can switch both on, or either or, depending on what you want. The third line down on our transaction screen, proxy cards. As I mentioned before, we're charging a fee on move-in of a proxy card fee for $25, and we can refund that at the end if required as well. And the last line, the insurance for $5. This was our other recurring charge that we put in for $5, and that's being billed alongside rent each month. So the total this customer owes, as you can see there in the blue field near my mouse pointer, is $280. That's their balance. And considering they're probably standing in front of you filling out their agreement, we want to take the payment at this time as well. No problems, I'll just click on Add Receipt. And Storman is now confirming, well, how would they like to pay? Let's just say they have $100 cash on them. So I've just changed that to cash and put in $100. And the rest they're going to pay with a check. No problems, click on Check. Storman knows the rest is $180, so it's just leaving that there for us. Click OK, and there we go. We have our check for $180 and our cash for $100. So you can have multiple payments in Storman against the one invoice. And that's all there, all done. Now, you might remember before I did hit the Bill Next Charges button to bill the first lot of rental charges. If you forget to do that, for example, the customer might not be there moving in front of you right now. They might be, I don't know, they might be doing this over the phone or coming in later. If you forget to bill the next charges, no problems. Next time you run the daily processing function in Storman, which is the daily task you'd run to bill everyone and that sort of thing, it catches up for you. It remembers you haven't billed them yet, and it will go and bill them for you. So it's great in case you forget. But as I did say earlier, Storman is an automatic billing system. You don't have to come into each customer each month or each week and hit this Bill Next Charges button. You only have to do that for the first lot of rent. Storman then will take care of it after that. It'll do all the fees for you, all the letters for you, all that sort of thing at the right time. That's that screen there. I mean, as you can see, there's lots of options there. You can add a charge. For example, if this guy's buying a box or a lock, you can add a charge there for a large lock, maybe perhaps two large locks for $30. And we'll add a receipt for cash as well. There we go. So you can use the Add Charge button to sort of add one-off charges. You can add credits, refunds, and all sorts of things here. You can also print and email invoices from the screen too. That's essentially all the main things on this particular tab. I will just touch on the other 2 or 3 tabs quickly. The Move Out tab here is used when the customer is ready to move out. And essentially it's just showing us here the move-in date, and then the date that they gave notice, and their expected move-out date. You might be asking, well, why are you asking for so many dates? Well, essentially what Storman does is it has a refund policy built into it. And you can change it. It might be 7 days notice, 14 days notice, and Storman works out if these 2 dates are 7 or 14 days apart, depending on your refund policy. And if the customer told you today that they're moving out tomorrow, well, they've only really given you 1 day's notice, and the refund policy wouldn't apply. So what that's essentially doing is Storman would then charge them an extra 6 days worth of rent because they've only given you 1 of the 7 days notice. So you can set up all kinds of things in Storman like this, and it automatically works out how much rent to bill the customer if they don't meet your refund policy. Again, if you don't wish to sort of have it so strict, you can switch off the policy if you like as well. Reason for move out here, again, you can customize this list. For example, they may have moved into their new house, or they've sold all the items that they had in storage. Again, you can put whatever you like there. If you've got one that says too expensive, and you have quite a few customers at the end of the year who have chosen that option as their move out reason, you might want to look at, again, reducing your prices, or perhaps adding some more value adds to make it appear as if the facility is better value for money than the one down the road, whatever the case might be. And again, you can run reports on all of these sort of reasons as well, and sort of see why people are moving out and so on. The Notes and Alerts tab, the second last tab here, allows you to add a general note. For example, if you're chasing up arrears for this customer and you left a message on the answering machine, for example, you may have said, well, you're $50 overdue, and you're just doing a follow-up call to see why they haven't paid, you can add that note. You'll notice that there's no way to delete or modify the note when that's added. And that's because they do hold up in court. We have had cases where things have gone to court, customers' goods were sold and they didn't pay or whatever, and things have gone to court. So you can put notes in here and they can't be deleted or edited in any way once they're added, which is great for court cases if you have to take it that far with the customer. As you'll see, Storman has also put in a couple of automatic notes. It's put in here a quote for the boxes that we did for $30. It's also put in the quote for the 2 units. You might remember we quoted a 4x3 originally for $180 and a 3x3 for $150. And that's in there so the customer can't dispute the quote and said, no, that unit was $15, I think, something like that. So you can see a record of all the quotes in the system here, and they're added as undeletable and uneditable notes, which is great. The alert notes section on the right hand side at the top here is the only type of note that can be edited or removed. So for example, if this customer is notorious for paying by cheque and they always bounce, you can put in a note, as I'm doing now, do not let this customer pay by cheque, or do not accept cheques from this customer, and you can switch it on so that it will alert you. I'm just going to click OK to show you what that does. Just going to refresh that and come back to Matt. There he is. Open up his agreement. Now the first thing that comes on the screen before anything else is your alert note. Do not let this customer pay by cheque. Now of course you probably want to hide your computer screen from the staff. Most people, from the customers, most people would have it behind a counter. We have seen some very interesting notes that other Storman customers around the world have put in about their customers, so you may just want to make sure that you don't put anything that the customer can see. But it is a great way to notify other staff members of particular things with this customer. For example, it might be that they forgot to sign their agreement. Next time they're in, they need to sign it. All sorts of things like that you can put in as alert notes. I'm just going to come back and switch that off so it doesn't bother me with that every time. And the last tab I'll go through quickly before I do the last 2 sections is called the event log. And this is a history of everything that's going on with this customer in Storman. I'll just click Get Info to get all the information out of the system. And it looks a bit confusing and complex, but as you can see, it's showing us all the things we've done in the system. We can see that we've charged I think 2 boxes for $30. There's the rent amount, and there's the other unit quote. So all the information is logged in the system. Generally, our technical support people would use this, but we do have some courses available on how to read the event log. It's basically a log of everything that happens, that sort of thing. And it is logged by username. So if you have, for example, a staff member that's given away $100 in a discount and you don't really want them to in future, you can come in here and see which staff member did it by their logon name, which is again why we suggest you have a different one for each staff member, and then go and approach them and say, look, we don't really want you to give discounts of $200 away when the unit's only worth $300, whatever, and so on. And that's that particular section there. Now I've got 2 more sections to cover quickly. That'll cover the last 15 minutes for us. Did anyone have any questions so far? If you did, please use the questions panel on your webcasting section there and do ask. I've got one actually from Ali, who's asked what was the match column in the previous tab. I'm just going to open up Matt's agreement again and show you what that does. Okay, what I've done there is just open up Matt's transaction screen. Now as you'll see, it's showing a bit less than it did before. Where's his rental billing, where's his cheque payment, etc. And what Storman is doing is it's only showing the last lot of transactions on the screen just to keep it nice and clean, but you can show everything by clicking here, Show History, and that will show everything. Now Ali's question was, what does this match column here do? And essentially what Storman's doing is it's showing you that it's matched this deposit, which was $100, with this cash payment here of $100. And you'll see that because they've both got match codes of 1. So it's just matching off money. It's basically matching off money against a charge. And if they match off exactly the same amount of money, Storman calls that a match. In the same way here, we can see match code 3. He paid $30 of cash. That's matching with 2 large locks of $30. So it's matched that off. It's, I guess sort of reconciling a payment against a charge in Storman. That's what the match column does here. It is automatic, as you can see. It's done it there for us. But if you need to override it, and for example, if you wish to match a payment with rent as opposed to just some boxes or whatever, you can manually use the select and match buttons to rematch it if you need to. But again, you can only match if the payment amount is exactly the same as the receipt amount. It has to match exactly. Sorry, as the charge amount. Okay, I've just returned back to the main control screen there. Hopefully that answers Ali's question. Again, if you have any more, please feel free to put them in the questions panel. I've got 2 more things to cover for you today. They are banking and daily processing. I'm going to run the daily processing function first. And what daily does is it's the function that automates everything in Storman. It bills the people that are due, It reminds the people who are late, and it also sends out any other letters you might have